there in Plaza Dilao, but in the 1990s, much of it was demolished. So what are you...
Most of it were demolished, but when we inspected the building, it can be restored, and we already talked to the National Historical Institute on what steps to do in order to declare Paco Station as a National Historical Landmark, because it's one of the oldest buildings in Manila, built during the American period, and also during World War II, a lot of soldiers died retaking Paco Station.
Now, in terms of the rehabilitation of our railways, would these stations that you're campaigning to preserve still serve a function, or will they? Or because I saw some pictures, for example, in Skyscraper City, where the new lines that are being rehabilitated and the new stations being built are higher than the old ones. So, what will happen to the old stations?
For example, Paco Station, the ramp is separate from the building. So you could just easily convert the ramps and the outside the station. So it's pretty much independent.
So in the case of Paco Station, it could be an integral part of the rehabilitated lines.
Yes.
We have a question here, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Sorry, from one of our texters. It's actually a comment. Dixon said through text that it's ironic that Americans believe that railways were a source of corruption for Filipino politicians when everyone knows nowadays it's the construction of highways that have the most kickbacks. Sir, do you have a comment on that? Manolo? Gentlemen?
Well, you know, this is a non-political group that we're interviewing, but I think the simple answer to that is that corruption is a predatory sort of behavior that looks for opportunities. So it's just basically infrastructure that involves corruption in any country when it comes to government. And so if you're building highways today, of course you're not going to be looking at trains.
So I guess the American solution wasn't particularly effective.
Well, no. This is, to be fair, you have to look at the fact that railways were a feature of you know, you've seen all these Western films and how all the cowboys are riding up and down on you know, trains are being attacked by Indians and that sort of thing. The development of the train system united the continental United States and was made it a developed country. But by the time the Americans arrived here, it was already the era of the truck, the automobile, and that sort of thing. And that's what they were exporting to the world. Remember, it was the British who were exporting trains. So it's just a function of the time that the Americans came here. If they had come here in 1870, which was the heyday of the American Railroad, they would have built trains all over the place nonstop.
We actually also have another comment through text, because we were talking earlier about how railways always have squatters along the areas and that our trains go so slowly so that we don't have to worry about crushing anyone. Now, Sean through text said that the government still owns all the rights of ways, but more than political will is necessary to get rid of all the squatters.
You know, this is something that I find, if I can venture an opinion here, quite interesting. A tremendous amount has been done. We like to think of the urban poor as sort of a problem that cannot be solved. If you go to areas like the Blumentritt station area in Manila, it's been cleared. And many other parts that used to be congested and presented a danger both to the trains and to the people living around them, it has been solved. For some reason, we're just not aware of it. Now, the interesting thing that's coming up is that even though these rights of ways have been cleared and new track is being laid, and we can ask our guests later about the different tracks being put, now there's controversy involving the building of the station. And this is going to be one of those are we losing another opportunity here questions, because you've mustered the political will to convince the urban poor to move. You've resettled them, you've cleared the area, laid down the new tracks. New controversy will erupt. What does that mean? Will new people move in and nothing will happen? And that's something we ought to
Sir
consider.
Jimmy, what do you think of that?
Well, for the past few years, they cleared up a lot of right-of-way. Blumentritt, all the way to, practically all the way up to Taguig area, it's all cleared. So there is political will right now to clear the tracks. and
Now,
relocate.
we were looking at the. Let's give a sort of a bird's eye view to our viewers about how this railway system will work. Right now, the main concentration of the North Rail would be from Manila up to Clark. Is that correct?
The first phase is Manila to Malolos.
Okay.
Then the second phase is Malolos to Clark. They already cleared Manila to Malolos, and they already relocated most of the informal settlers there.
But
I think the
ultimately
natural-
the objective is to go past Clark as far as where?
Well, we have a right of way all the way to La Union, and I think they.
But is reviving a rail link all the way to La Union really part of the plan?
I scanned their plans. I think it's part of their plan to rebuild the line again back to La Union and up to north.
Sir Jimmy Manolo, I think the natural question of anyone in the audience, and one of our texters, Padua, actually asked it, so should the North Rail project be discontinued? Should we continue it at all given all the controversy?
No, absolutely no, because they have done a lot already, and the most important aspect of the project is really to relocate all the settlers, and they already did that. And Malolos area up to Manila, they need a fast link or a fast rail system to serve all those people living in those areas. So I don't think.
Sir Carol here
approach
has a comment.
Yeah.
Well, they shouldn't stop it because, number one, the money has been spent, and in the long term, it will be good for everyone living in the north. They'll have easier access to transportation. Don't forget, the railroad provides access to transportation for less wealthy people. The people who can afford a car, can afford fuel, well, fine, they'll get on the highway. The railroad will save wear and tear on the highway, and eventually probably save wear and tear and make the highway safer by getting rid of some of the trucks that are on the highway.
Well, let me ask you guys. This is. Let's approach the question from this way, from this perspective. What are the benefits that are derived from a functioning railway system, which we don't have right now?
Well,
What could people look forward to?
well, safer and quicker transportation. Actually, the railroad can work and run as fast as the buses, and they can have less fuel usage. I mean, everybody's worried about fuel usage. The Philippines imports all of their fuel, so if the railroads can help conserve some of the fuel, it eventually makes it better.
No,
for
you're
the
talking
Philippines.
about just moving people in the first place.
Moving people.
Because Cavite and those areas are now basically suburbs.
Correct,
of
they're
Manila.
very congested.
But are there advantages also in terms of cargo?
In freight, yes, they're talking to making Subic a container port, and one of the things they could do is load containers on the railroad and bring it at night. See, they can run the people during the day, and then ride freight trains at night like they do in America. And it would make the railroad dual usage, save fuel, and also get some of the congestion off the highway.
Okay. Now, since this question is raised, this brings me up to my view. Now, anything our government undertakes requires the participation of many people and demands hard work from everyone involved. And anything our officials starts requires some sort of justification that it involves the public good. The expansion of Metro Manila's commuter rail network and Luzon's railways obviously involves the public good. And both projects, while expensive and dogged by controversy, also have a little more to show for them than many other projects of which we see hardly anything. And here lies the problem. On one hand, many impatient and long-suffering computers want something, anything done as soon as possible, and to hell with the costs of the corruption. Others are so horrified with corruption that they'd stop everything, if you'll pardon the pun, dead in its tracks. This is the debate playing out in the papers and in the TV stations and on radio. But we shouldn't forget that, like any debate, it's not about the two sides screaming at each other, it's about you. Because in the end, it's your taxes, your elected officials, and you who have the ultimate power to decide if only you'll make yourself heard. Thank you, Pat, and Mr. Tiongson and to your group, and the members of the Railway Heritage Society. Thanks for being here. I'm Manolo Quezon, and this is The Explainer.